Imagine trying to explain the concept of offshore tax evasion to a golden retriever. The dog loves you. The dog is paying attention. The dog is trying its absolute best. But the dog fundamentally lacks the architecture framework to understand international banking laws. It just wants to know if you're going to throw the tennis ball. This is exactly what it feels like to read translated fiction. When you take a raw, politically furious, culturally dense masterpiece written in Marathi or Urdu and you try to translate it into standard polite English, the English language acts a lot like the golden retriever. Look, the reason I'm torturing you with this deeply tedious metaphor is to tell you a hallucination packed with 3,000 years of civilizational baggage, 2 centuries of colonial trauma, and 12 different layers of untranslatable caste dynamics. It cannot be hallucinated into the brain of a guy named Gary from Ohio, whose meat flaps are only optimized to talk about interest rates and the weather. To see this hardware failure in real time, you can look at Sadand Hassan Manto. Manto was the undisputed master of the Urdu short story. He wrote primarily about the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan, which, if you aren't familiar, was less a historical border dispute and more a sudden blood soaked collapse of reality. Now, Manto did not write to be sipped gently with tea in posh London armchair. He wrote with the visceral, bleeding energy of a street brawl. His Urdu captured the profanity, the rhythm, and the sheer, dizzying panic of a society tearing itself apart. So, what happens when you try to run Manto's software on standard English hardware? You get emotional taxidermy. You scoop out his cultural guts, you sand down the dangerous edges of his street slang, and you stuff him with polite Oxford syntax. When you read translated Manto, you are actually reading a 45-year-old linguistic professor. And sometimes the software is so heavy, it just completely crashes the computer. Take Manto's most famous story, Toba Tek Singh. It's about an asylum inmate during partition who genuinely doesn't know if his hometown is in India or Pakistan. He just wants to go home. In the final devastating scene, the man collapses in the literal no man's land between the two newly drawn borders, mutters a string of absolute gibberish. He says, ऊपर दी गौर गौर दी अनेक दी भेड़ियां दी मूंग दाल of the Pakistan and Hindustan of the dur फटे मुंह. Yeah, what you read means literally nothing. It is a mix of Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi, and a little bit of English, and it's trying to illustrate the collapse of a human mind trying to process the arbitrary drawing of borders by a dying empire. Now, one can ask themselves, how do they even translate this? And the answer to that is you just can't. They just have to leave it the way it is, a linguistic glitch, something that is untranslatable, quite literally. So, where does that actually leave us? If translation is basically just emotional taxidermy, if it's a loosey compression algorithm that strips out all the nuance, why do we even bother? Why do we keep trying to shove these beautiful, bleeding, untranslatable masterpieces into the beige envelope of the English language? To answer that, we have to zoom out, way, way out. In the grander scheme of things, every single one of us is fundamentally alone. You are a solitary consciousness trapped inside a dark bone mech, piloting a meat suit on a wet rock hurling towards completely indifferent universe. And as we know, telepathy doesn't exist. We cannot beam our exact grief, our exact joy, or our exact cultural trauma directly into someone else's brain. All we can do is flap the meat in our throats or scribble little black symbols on dead trees and hope to God that the person on the other side of the void decodes it correctly. Manto's glitch in Toba Tek Singh isn't just a failure of the English language, it's the tragic, beautiful baseline of the human condition. We are all, on some level, trapped between borders we didn't draw, trying to explain an ache that the hardware just wasn't built to process. Translation is a mathematically impossible task. It is a guaranteed failure. You will never perfectly explain the 1947 partition to a guy from Ohio. But look at what a staggering, beautiful act of defiance it is to try, anyways. Translation is the ultimate act of desperate, foolish human empathy. It is the refusal to accept that the walls of our own skulls are the absolute limit of our universe. When a translator sits down and tries to turn Manto's Urdu into English, they know they are going to fail. They know they are mailing a live grenade in a padded envelope, but they do it anyway because they are hoping that even if the explosion is muffled, the person on the other side will still feel a tiny bit of the heat. We translate because the alternative is silence, and a cheap, defective Ouija board is still better than sitting in the dark all by yourself.